So we're here at Chenoweth Ranch with Charlie Chenoweth, a fabulous vineyard located in Green Valley, Russian River, Sonoma County. And Charlie, let's talk a little bit about the family history. You're the latest of a long line of Chenoweths that have been here. When did your family get this property?
We first showed up here in 1847. Been in agriculture ever since, and my grandfather started farming it a long time ago. We had stone fruit up here. We had grapes before Prohibition. Prunes, cherries, apples, and then I went back to grapes.
So how did you get into the grape growing business? You obviously had the family farm, but then you went pro and started working for other people, yeah?
Yeah, well, got my start really. The Duttons gave me the opportunity, so they had bigger and funner tractors to play with than I did here growing up. So they let me play with those tractors, and I had a lot of fun at it. And then Rich and Sarah Lee Cundy noticed what I was doing. I was developing their property on Slusser, and they hired me away from Warren Dutton, and I worked there for about 7 years.
That's where we met. I was buying grapes from Sarah Lee, and you were growing the grapes.
Yep.
And I remember we were sitting out in the field talking about all the different things you were doing for the fruit. And man, there were an awful lot of selections of Pinot Noir out there. You probably were growing more selections of Pinot. Well, all grapes, right?
That property had 70 different varieties on it. So that was fun.
When did you decide you were going to plant this and turn it into a vineyard? This was, what, 2001 maybe? 2000, right in there?
2000, 99, 2000.
Yeah. So we're in the far western edge of Russian River before it turns into Sonoma Coast.
Right.
And some people would call this the Stoats Ridge area. So what do you think about this area makes these wines special? Is it I mean, obviously the soils are great, but the climate is a little warmer.
Elevation, and we always get an afternoon coastal push. In average, though, we're doing 30 to 40 degree swings every day. So that's pretty huge for the skins and the development.
Yeah, and it allows for that slow ripening, but also keeps the acid. You know, a lot of people don't realize that the nighttime temperature is what keeps the acid. And so, like in places like Europe and Burgundy, it's really warm at night, and so their season's much more compressed. But we have these great natural acidities because of that cold night. So let's talk a little more about this site. So what kind of soil we have up here? This is sort of...
It's kind of a Sebastopol, not full Gold Ridge. It has a little bit more clay matter to it. But really light tan, good fertile soil.
So let's talk about the clones you got here. So this is mostly clone 115, but you got other Dijon clones. And
mostly 115, and then a good portion of 667, 777, and then a dab of 828 and 23.
Just a salt in there. Yeah, so the yields here are usually a little bit lower because there's not as many vines, but I mean, typically you're getting somewhere around 2.5 to 3 tons, hardly ever over 3.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, just to put that in context, in Burgundy, they have a tonnage limit for Grand Cru, which is at 2.5 tons to the acre equivalent. So we're right in that Grand Cru level of crop production. With much better weather. So when you taste fruit from your ranch, what do you think of the range of flavors and aromas that sort of remind you of home here?
I always pull out cherries, so and it's funny it had cherries on it, so I've always kind of thought that. But yeah, I've always been really happy with the fruit here, and hope you are.
Oh, hell, it's one of our best vineyards and a real crowd pleaser. I mean, to me, it's got this combination of red fruits like cherry and raspberry and maybe a little plum or cassis, but it's also got the spicy quality to it that I think adds another element. And you know, if it was just plain fruit, you know, that's kind of superficial, but this site has a lot more depth and flavor and supple richness. This always makes a really big wine without being heavy and without losing its Pinot character.